have a negative attitude, I'll never reach the mountaintop. And my abilities have nothing to do with it. It's what I say, which is a positive or negative perspective about that mountaintop. If I say I'm going to climb it, I might not get there as fast as you do because you got longer legs and da-da-da-da, but I'm going to get to the mountaintop. Mm-hmm. My abilities will get me there because my attitude is positive.
I was actually talking about that earlier, and this kind of ties into authenticity in a way that I didn't even notice until right now. So maybe I'm having an epiphany. Yeah. But that was, I read a book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, out of all books. But it said something along the lines of, I think it's that book, but of not comparing to people less fortunate than you to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
So like, let's say, oh, well, at least I'm not as poor as these people in order to, like, I guess, not or minimize your own plight. Mm-hmm. And then they said because by default you're going to start comparing to people above you. But the main problem issue, as far as I can see in both of those ways of thinking, is you shouldn't even be involved in comparison, period. Right. Is don't go up, don't go down, go to yourself.
Yeah, but you say should, but we didn't ask to be programmed that way.
Yeah.
But we have to recognize it is a cultural program. Every culture has norms that we grow into and believe, practice, and, behave in, and then we may move to a whole different place where that culture is totally different, and now we're learning new ways of being that is in contradiction to where we came from, like, say, PR. Culturally, they behave certain ways. You come into the United States, certain things that they do down there, can't do up here. Or it's not acceptable up here. And now you have to adjust your whole belief system based on how you do things. No, you have to get a license to drive a car. I'm not saying all. That was a bad example to use, but I'm just saying.
That's a good example. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to stigmatize nobody about nothing. But it's like that, because we're always adjusting.
I got an aunt in 40 years. She's been driving no license, and
when I went
she drives just fine.
I went to Nairobi, Kenya, right? My wife saw my wife's mother for the first time. She was driving me around. Yeah. She didn't have no shoes on, and it was a stick.
Oh,
so she would have the pedal in between her toes. And I asked her, why would you not drive? Because, in our culture, you have to have shoes on to drive a car. She was barefooted. She said, this is the most comfortable because I can feel everything and it works better for me. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what works for her.
Yeah.
So that's how authentic she was about, if I put shoes on like everybody else, it's not going to work for me.
Man, I'll give you an example. Back to boxing. Yeah. They said Muhammad Ali had a trainer. He said he was cool with him doing his dropping his hands, leaning back, all the stuff that a fundamental, I guess, boxer wouldn't do. It's against the norm.
Yeah.
He had a time where he got with a new coach, and his new coach was trying to program him into being basically the stereotypical orthodox fighter. Hands up, exactly. Trying to do all the things correctly. He started sparring, he got his ass kicked. And then they were like, all right, just do your thing. Right. And then he was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
It was like when he was actually doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or what he felt was authentic to himself, because some people, everybody's wired a little bit differently.
And I think that's why, I always ask people when I see them, who do you want to be? Because who they are, when they came to me, they didn't like, obviously, because they're here, coming to therapy, wanting to investigate, why am I like this? So instead of looking at why you're like this, because I know it's already a program, they just didn't look at it that way. But who do you want to be? Now we can use your authentic insight as to your desire to create.
Okay, so I got a question, because I would probably struggle with this myself. I think I was, at least for the most part, blessed to kind of come to certain things innately without needing much force behind it, or at least if there was forces behind it, I can't really be like, it was this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How would somebody come to that conclusion? Okay, boom, clean slate. Damn, okay. I was authentic to somebody else, but I wasn't authentic to myself. Who am I? And then even that question in yourself, you go through somewhat of an identity crisis, and you're like, wait, so this whole time I was letting people dictate who I am. Like that's why I said this years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I said I never wanted to be known as just a boxer because I didn't want that to be the preface to the book of my life.
Right.
I didn't want that to dictate who I am because I wanted to be known as much more. A lot of people don't come to that awareness. A lot of people be like, oh, well, you know, this is Dr. Mo.
Yeah.
And then that's embedded, and they don't even want to do that, but they want to be authentic to other people's perception of what they are. So they're like, well, I guess I'm gonna stay my whole life a doctor, even though they're miserable doing that because they know that what they really want to do is be an artist.
Yeah.
You know, for example.
Yeah.
So how would you go with no software, brand new, start from scratch? Okay, how am I gonna, I guess, put this plate of food from the buffet?
Yeah.
Am I gonna put a little ziti on it? Am I gonna put a little, salad? How am I gonna sort that plate?
Well, you're the one who's going to create the future endeavor that you say you want. So to me, the first thing I always ask is, what's your goal? Because if without a goal, you're not having any strategy. Without a strategy, you have no discipline because you're not having anything consistently to follow enthusiastically to reach any place of, destination. So you're gonna have a goal. You're telling me what you don't like. Okay, we got that. So where are you going? Where do you want to go from that? Got to cultivate something. You're gonna create the new you. So there's a nuance and there's a stagnant that you don't like. This is kind of like the lady today. She really had an epiphany where she really saw she was reacting to the environment she have to work in. And there's toxicity there because everybody's dysfunctionally functioning like herself. So empathetically, she should have never been reacting to it in the way she have when she herself is dysfunctionally functioning. So we don't function with empathy in an environment where we dislike other people's behavior. We will attack that. Like if we are so perfect within our dysfunctionality, you know what I'm saying? And their reaction to that is in opposition doing the same thing. So now there's friction because both of us don't like each other's foundation of belief system that we think is authentic, but is distortedly authentic.
Well,
destructive.
Well, okay, check this out.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. With authenticity, you don't want to take somebody else's attachment, let's say, let's just use those words. But you do, in some, I guess, point, maybe not compare to somebody else, but take on good attributes from that other person.